Hello! Thank you for taking the time to watch this tutorial and learn more about the advanced features in Practice Web. These features can help you increase productivity and achieve a truly paperless office. The tutorial you're about to watch is an introduction into how to enter information for adding insurance plans into Practice Web. In this tutorial, you'll learn how to enter fee schedules and assign them to providers, how to add insurance to a patient, entering benefits for accurate estimates and calculations, and how insurance benefits affect treatment plans and insurance estimates. Let's get started. We're going to start this tutorial with how to add your fee schedules. Depending on if you're an in-network or out-of-network provider, will determine how many fee schedules you'll need to enter into Practice Web. There's no limit to the amount of fee schedules you can enter, but if you want to make sure that you're getting the most accurate patient estimates, you want to make sure that at least your contracted fee schedules are entered. We're going to start by showing you how to enter fee schedules under the Setup menu. Go to Setup in the upper left corner of Practice Web, then click on Fee Schedules. On the left, you can see the list of any fee schedules previously entered. In the upper right, you have a filter to help you select which type of fee schedules you're looking at in the Fee Schedules column. The buttons below allow you to organize your list, and if you're going to add new fee schedules to this list, you click the Add button. For this particular tutorial, we're just going to talk about the normal fee schedule types, because that is used the most in the majority of dental offices. And in the description field, I'm going to type the name of the fee schedule, and we're going to leave the type as normal. In the future, if a fee schedule is no longer going to be used, you can put a check mark in Hidden. If you're a multiple provider practice, and you each have different fees, you'll want to uncheck the Use Global Fees box. If you leave a check mark, it will use your default billing schedule. So just make sure that you use this box appropriately. Once I click OK, this fee schedule is saved to the list. If I want to alphabetize my list, I could highlight the Aetna fee schedule and then just click the Up button, and you can see that it will move the fee schedule based on my organizational preferences. Once you're done entering the names of your fee schedules, you can just close the screen. There is another way that you can enter your fee schedules, and that is directly from your procedure codes list. This is helpful if you want to enter the fees at the same time you add your fee schedule name. So you can do everything from one screen. To access the procedure codes list, go to the List menu, then click on Procedure Codes. In the lower right, you can see the Fee Schedules button. If you click here, it will bring up the same list that you can access from the Setup menu. A lot of clients like to enter their fee schedule names here, because once you've added the name of your fee schedule, you can select the name from the drop-down list, and then you can enter your fees right away. Notice you have 3 fee schedule sections and 3 columns in the procedure list. This is used if you're comparing fee schedules to each other. If you're adding fees, I do recommend only working out of the Fee Schedule 1 column to avoid confusion. Once you have the name selected here under Fee Schedule 1, you can now add your fees. To add fees, click in the box next to the procedure code, and you'll see it activate. It's kind of like an Excel spreadsheet. You can type your fees in whole numbers, and you can hit the down arrow key on your keyboard to drop you down to the next procedure code. To save time, you can skip over any procedures you don't perform in your office. Any procedure codes left blank are automatically treated as zero fees. Once you've added in your fee schedules, you can now assign the fee schedules to your specific providers. When you schedule an appointment in PracticeWeb, it'll automatically assign a provider to the patient. In the event that a staff member doesn't properly assign the fee schedule to the patient, by having the fee schedule assigned to the provider, it will automatically bill that provider's fees to the insurance. To set this up, go to the list menu and to providers. Double-click on the provider name. And then here is where you would assign that provider's fee schedule. In most single provider practices, the standard or UCR fee is typically what is assigned, so that it shows up on your claim forms. But if you have an associate who is a specialist, and maybe they have their own fee schedules, you can assign that here. Make sure you have fee schedules assigned correctly to all your providers. Now let's discuss how to add insurance to a patient or a subscriber. You can see on my schedule I have a new patient, Ivan Payne, and when I click on his appointment, it'll automatically bring up his information in the family module, so I don't have to search. The family module is where you enter your patient information, including insurance, if you're not using one of our paperless patient registration options. Make sure you enter complete address and phone information, especially birth date, in the patient information section. This is important for the insurance claim. To add insurance, click on the Add Insurance button at the top of the Family module. PracticeWeb will prompt you to make sure you're entering your insurance correctly based on the subscriber relationship. Always make sure you respond to the prompt correctly. For this example, we're going to click Yes. Now you're looking at the Edit Insurance screen. If you're adding an existing plan to a new patient, you can click on the Pick from List button at the top of the Edit Insurance Plan screen. If you have a major employment source in your area and you get a lot of patients from that company, chances are they'll have the same insurance plan. So you can use the search fields at the top of the insurance plan list to locate the plan that you want to use for this new patient. I'm just going to use my Delta plan right here with the ABC shipping employer. I can double left click on the line, or I can just click OK. And now you can see that my insurance plan details have been added to the insurance plan screen. Now you can just take a quick look around and then make sure that this is the plan that you want. Don't forget to add your subscriber ID in the upper right corner. Now you can click OK to save this plan. If you need to add insurance to a spouse or dependent, first make sure the patient is entered in the account. You can click the Add button to enter the new family member. So I'm going to add Ivan's wife, Sarah, to this account. Now that Sarah has been added, I'm going to add insurance to her. When I click the Add Insurance button and it gives me the subscriber prompt, this time I'm going to say no. Now I can see a list of family members, so I'm going to select the name of the patient that is the subscriber. Since I know that's Ivan, I'm going to select his name and click OK. Now I can see the list of insurance plans used by this family. I'm going to click on the existing plan I just entered and then click OK. Now that we're looking at the Edit Insurance Plan screen, if you look in the upper left corner, you can see the Relationship to Subscriber field. Since Sarah is Ivan's wife, we'll select Spouse from the drop-down menu. Now just click OK to save this plan, and both patients now have insurance. Let's look at another scenario for insurance. We're going to use Jane Doe's account for this next example. So Jane is our patient. She has an appointment scheduled today. Jane has insurance, but she is not the subscriber. You can see that in her family module, she is listed as the guarantor, and you can tell because her name is at the top of the list and in bold text. Her husband, John, is not a patient of ours, but he is the subscriber to the insurance. If you wanted to keep these types of accounts organized, you can keep them in the same account, or you can separate them out using the Move button. The reason I'm showing you this example is sometimes you may have blended families and the subscriber to the insurance won't actually be part of the standard account. But you still need to make sure that you add the insurance plan correctly using the proper subscriber relationship. While you're in the patient's account, you click on the Add Insurance button and click No to our subscriber prompt here. Since John is not part of this account, I can click on the More Patients button and then select his name from my patient menu. If his insurance still needs to be added, the Edit Insurance Plan screen will automatically appear. I can use my Pick From list and select the plan that applies to John. Then I can change the relationship to the subscriber and click OK to save this plan. You can see that Jane is my patient, and John is my subscriber, and that they have MetLife. The third example of entering an insurance plan is if you're entering a plan that has not been entered previously. For this example, we'll select Bob Ross as our patient. Now that we're in the family information for Bob, I'm going to click on the Add Insurance button. And since he is the subscriber, I'm going to click Yes. If I go to the Pick From a List and I don't see the specific plan that I want to use, I can click Cancel and I can enter the plan details into the Edit Insurance Plan screen. The more information you put into the insurance plan screen, the easier it will be for you to select this plan in the Pick From list for the next patient you might want to use it on. Once you've entered the employer, you can click on the button next to the carrier to select from a list, or you can type it in. If you don't use the carrier list button, make sure you input the carrier address. Also make sure that you put in the correct group name and number. The benefits are set by default to the standard 180/50. But if you need to change them, you can just double click on the benefit section and you can enter whatever the percentages are for this plan. Just click OK when you're ready to save this plan. Now let's talk about the importance of using the Pick From List button. Because I entered the plan manually, if I go back to my Pick From a List, you'll see that I now have a duplicate entry for this plan. You only need to manually enter an insurance plan if you don't see it in Pick From a List. I'll show you how to clean up this list a little later in the tutorial. Now that we've talked about the preferred way to add an insurance plan, we're going to show you the different details and information in the Edit Insurance Plan screen. To access the Edit Insurance Plan screen, you can just double-click on an existing plan. The Edit Insurance Plan screen has 4 sections: the Patient Information section, the Carrier Information sections, the Subscriber Information, and Benefits Information section. The Patient Information section may have different information than that of the subscriber. We already talked about the relationship field briefly, but it is important to make sure that the correct status is here, since most insurance claims require that. You also have a field for optional patient ID in case the insurance company wants to see the patient's ID number and not just the subscribers on the claim form. Most insurance companies have stopped using this method of tracking claims, but in case you need it, the field is still available. Next, you have the order box. This helps you identify the difference between a primary or secondary insurance plan. If you have a number 1 in this field, that indicates that this plan is the primary insurance. If you change it to number 2, this plan will automatically be put in the secondary billing position in PracticeWeb. The pending checkbox is used if you want to identify plans that might have incomplete information. Having this box checked doesn't have any effect on your ability to create or send claims. But if you're working with a patient and you see this box checked, it's a reminder for you to verify that you entered everything correctly for the insurance plan. You can also document the date when you verified this plan. If you're doing it right now, you can just click the Now button, or you can manually type the date in this field. If you want to record that you verified this patient's eligibility, just make sure that you also uncheck the pending box. In the far upper right, you have the Adjustment to Insurance Benefits box. When you click the Add button, you can enter any benefits that have been used during this benefit year. This is predominantly used for patients that are new to your practice and coming to you mid-year, and they've already been seen by another dentist. You can also use this to track benefits used by a referral. So if you sent one of your patients to a specialist and they had the work done, you can reflect that here. If you're going to add information, just make sure that the date applies to that benefit year. So let's go ahead and show this patient has used $500 of their benefits and has met their deductible of $50. So now you can see this information here. If the patient has an annual max of $1,500, PracticeWeb will only calculate for $1,000 left until the benefits reset next year. We've already covered the pick from list, so now let's look at the carrier information. I'll talk about the audit trail just a little bit later. Earlier in this tutorial, we covered the carrier information for a new plan. So let's talk a little bit about the fields below. The electronic ID is used by the clearinghouses when you're sending these claims electronically. For the most part, PracticeWeb already has the IDs entered. But if for any reason you're adding this as a new plan and you need to look up the electronic ID, you can click on the search button and select the ID from the list. If you have a carrier that doesn't accept electronic claims, you can select Don't Send Electronically, and you can print these claims out later. You can also mark Not to Send Secondary Claims Electronically, just in case they need attachments and you're sending them by mail. Always make sure that you enter the group name and group number so you can identify this plan when you're using the pick from a list. Next, you see the other subscribers. This gives you an idea of how many people have this plan. A great aspect of this is if you need to change any of the carrier information or the benefit information, if you look at the bottom of your screen, there is an option for Change Plan for all subscribers. If you make any changes to this plan, anyone in this list will also be updated. For this tutorial, we're only going to be talking about the category percentage and PPO plan types, since they are the most frequently used. If you're using the category percentage, you can bill your UCR or any contracted amounts, and PracticeWeb will give you insurance estimates based on the information you have entered. You'll typically only use PPO percentage if you're an in-network provider and you want PracticeWeb to automatically calculate your write-offs. If you're going to use this feature, you'll want to click on this Other Benefits tab at the top of your carrier information and select PPO Substitution, Calculate Write-Offs. While we're on this tab, PracticeWeb is set up to automatically downgrade composites. If your plan covers posterior composites, You want to have Don't Substitute Codes checked. If you uncheck this box, then your estimates for posterior composites will actually be based on the amalgam fees you have entered. The claim show UCR fee, not billed fee, should be checked if you want to bill your UCR fees on the insurance claim. If we go back to the Plan Info tab, if you have your contracted fee schedule assigned to the plan here, this is the fee schedule that your patient's copays will be based on. Remember earlier in this tutorial we discussed how to enter these fee schedules. This is where those fees actually appear. By having a check mark in the Claim Show UCR fee box, the insurance company will see the higher amount. You can see that there are more options for entering insurance coverage, but because of the advanced nature of handling dual coverage insurance, this information is covered in another tutorial. The other fee schedules is typically used in HMO and capitation plans and covered in that same video. Down here in the lower left, you have the plan note section. If you enter any notes here, it will apply to all subscribers with this plan. For example, if there's a waiting period on oral surgery or major, and if sleep appliances like night guards are covered, you can enter that information here. And it will show up in bold red letters on the plan in the family module. Moving on to the subscriber information. Most of this information, like the subscriber ID, are entered when you entered their patient information. The subscriber ID field is attached to the Social Security number field. So if the subscriber ID is different than the subscriber's social, you can just retype the ID number in this field. If you need to change subscriber information on this plan, you can click on the Change button. But one thing to keep in mind is that if you've already created insurance claims on this plan, you won't be able to just change the subscriber without deleting those other claims. It is recommended that you drop the plan and re-enter it with the correct information. Effective dates. This is not the subscriber's benefit year, but a general information field as to when they started using the plan. The benefit year is entered in the benefits section, and we'll cover that in just a few minutes. You don't have to enter anything in these date fields unless you want to see when the patient started using or has dropped this plan. If your patient has signed the HIPAA release and financial agreements, you can put a check in release of information. If the dentist is going to be receiving the insurance payment, put a check mark in assignment of benefits. If this particular patient is going to send the claim to the insurance themselves and pay you directly, you can uncheck this box and print the claim on the patient's behalf, but then the patient will pay you for your services directly. If you have any subscriber or patient-specific notes about this plan, you can enter them here, and you'll only see those notes on this account. It's not like the plan note that applies to everyone that has this plan. Now we're going to discuss the benefit section. If you double-click in this section, it'll bring up your benefit details. This is the screen where you can set the coverage terms. The simplified view box is checked by default. If you uncheck it, you can enter the benefit details for each line item. Most Practice Web users do prefer the simplified view because it is easier to enter benefits this way. So this is what we'll learn today. Next to the simplified view, you have the benefit year. This is when the patient's coverage starts. If it starts in January, you can put the check mark in calendar. This means that the patient's coverage starts January 1st and ends December 31st. If this patient's coverage goes into effect as of the date they signed up, maybe it was June, then you can put the number 6 in the month field, and this patient's benefits will reset at the beginning of June the following year. Moving on to the annual max fields, you'll notice you have two columns, one for individual and one for family. You always want to make sure you at least enter the annual max for the individual, so you know when this patient is no longer eligible for treatment or if they've maxed out. If you know the family max, you can enter it here. If you don't know what the family max benefit is, don't enter 0. Just leave it blank. You'll also want to enter the deductibles. You can enter the maximum age allowed for fluoride. If you complete code 1208, if the patient is too old, Practice Web will show that it's not covered. You can also do the same with sealants. Below the max fields, you have the frequencies. You can see that the procedures are represented by a number sign. And if you look to the right of the number field, you can select the different options, and you can use the drop down to select the frequencies allowed. So for example, if bite wings are allowed every 6 months, you enter the number 6 and select the option for every number of months. If FMX or Pano is allowed every 5 years, you can enter the number 5 and then use the drop down for every 5 years. Just make sure that when you're entering your benefits, you enter them correctly based on what this plan covers. If this plan covers ortho, you can enter those benefits here. This field is connected to any codes in the 8,000 range, and you can also set age limitations to ortho treatment. On the right side, you have category percentages. Most insurance plans cover preventative at 100%, basic at 80%, and major at 50%. To change the percentages for these groups quickly, you can use the quick fields you see here. If your plan has a specific coverage for any one category, you can click in that field next to the category and change it to whatever that coverage may be. Most private insurance plans waive the deductible on preventative care. If that's the case, with this plan, enter a 0 in these 3 fields so that Practice Web knows not to apply preventative to the patient's general deductible. Sometimes insurance plans may have a deductible on preventative. It's just a lesser amount than what's in the general. If that is the case, then put whatever that amount is here. Earlier, we showed you the plan notes section where you could enter notes for any plan information like waiting periods. You can also enter those in the benefits section so that the software will not show a procedure as covered if they aren't eligible for that treatment yet. If there are no waiting periods, then you can leave these fields blank. The other benefits section is for overriding benefit information, like if a spouse or dependents have different coverage than the subscriber. Since this video is for basic training, and this is an advanced feature, we have another tutorial that will cover this section in more detail. Now to save your benefits entered, click OK. If you recall from earlier in the training, you can see a list of all the subscribers attached to this plan. If you want any changes you made to affect everyone on this list, put the bullet in Change Plan for all subscribers, and once you click OK to save this plan, everyone's insurance plan on that list will automatically be updated. If you want to see if any changes have been made to an insurance plan, you can always click on the Audit Trail button and review how many times this plan has been updated. The procedure history down here at the bottom will help you in determining if this patient is covered for treatment if they've been seen at another provider's office earlier this year. If you double-click on the history section, you can now enter the dates or estimated dates when this patient received this treatment. Now that we have a full understanding of how to enter insurance plans and benefits, let's talk about the differences between the category percentage and PPO percentage plan types. For this example, I'm going to Jane Doe's account. Her plan is set up as a basic category percentage. This means that we can either use the UCR fee or assign an insurance fee schedule to this plan. If we look at the treatment plan for Jane, you can see that the assigned fee schedule is in the fee column, and the primary estimate is what you're hoping the insurance will pay based on their percentages. Since Jane's plan covers preventative at 100%, she doesn't have any patient portion for those procedures. But when you look at the restorative treatment, you can see the insurance portion and her portion based on what you've entered in the plan. This is a pretty typical plan setup. Let's go ahead and take a look at a PPO plan setup. So Ivan Payne is set up with a PPO plan. You can see that Ivan's insurance plan type is set as PPO, and we have the contracted fee schedule assigned in the fee schedule field. Now, if we look in the treatment plan module for Ivan, Practice Web will show the UCR fee on the treatment plan. You'll see that the insurance estimate is based on your contracted rates, and the patient's portion is also based on the contracted rate. But the discount is reflected so that the patient can see that they're paying less than what the insurance is paying and that how much money they're saving by getting their treatment done by a preferred provider. Most out-of-network providers will use category percentage. But if you have a lot of insurances that you're in network with and you would like the patient to see their discount, then you can use PPO plan type. If you recall, in the Edit Insurance Plan screen, there is a drop button. If a patient no longer has coverage with the plan, you can click this drop button, and it will save to a plan history for this patient. Typically, you'll use this feature in cases where an employer is no longer using a specific carrier, and you need to enter a new plan under the carrier name. Or maybe the patient has changed employers altogether, and you need to enter an entirely new plan. A really great aspect of this feature is that it maintains the integrity of any unpaid or outstanding claims. So you can click the drop button, and any unpaid claims in your account module will still show the old carrier since that is where you sent this claim. If you ever need to review the old plan, for example, if you have to resubmit a claim or maybe you want to see the limitations, you can click on the drop-down menu next to the Add Insurance button and click on Plans for Family. Now you can go back and review all of the previous plan details and resubmit correctly if needed. If you click on the Add Insurance button, you'll see that the old plan shows as no longer in use. But you can add a new plan as we had previously shown. This will allow you to bill any new procedures to the new insurance plan. You might recall seeing the Delete button in the lower left corner of your Edit Insurance Plan screen. If you click here, it will delete the plan from your insurance plan list. However, if any claims have been submitted, you can't just delete the plan. So if a plan is no longer in use, it's best just to drop it. Lastly, we're going to talk about how to keep your pick from list organized and free of duplicates. If you click on the list menu and then click on insurance plans, you can see a list of all the plans you have in Practice Web. This is the same list of plans in your Pick from List button in the Edit Insurance Plan screen. You can also see the number of subscribers that you have attached to the plan. If you notice that there are duplicate plans entered, you can highlight identical plans and click on Combine. Please be aware that you want to be very careful to only highlight truly identical plans. You can use the group name and group number here to help you. And once you've combined insurance plans, you can't undo it. So before you combine, you can review the plan to see which one has the most accurate or detailed information. And once you have selected the plans that you want to combine, and we know that this top line has the most complete information, so I'm going to click the Combine button and select this top insurance line and click OK. Now in our main insurance plan list, you will see that these plans have been combined. This helps you to keep your pick from a list well organized, so it's easy for anyone in the office to add insurance plans to your patients. You can do the same with insurance carriers if needed. Just, again, go to the list menu and click on Insurance Carriers. Then you can click on the carriers that you want to combine if you have duplicates. And then with the same, just highlight the carriers, click on Combine. And the carrier list will be well organized if you have to add a new plan into PracticeWeb. This concludes our tutorial of the basics of insurance management in PracticeWeb. If you have any questions, please call our support team at 800-845-9379 option 2, or you can send an email to support@practice-web.com.